Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good grief, it's been a long time since we've done a live. A lot longer than I had really planned on, but as always, things get a little crazy, and the best laid plans all tend to go awry. For those of you that are new to this, I'm Jay Hartman, editor-in-chief, Untreed Reads Publishing. In the chat is chat hostess extraordinaire Sandra Murphy. Not sure if Untreed Reads CEO Katie Sullivan has made it into the chat. She did have some other stuff going on today. And Gizmo, who is our marketing director and company spokespig, we may not be seeing him on the channel as much anymore. Gizmo got pretty sick back in January, upper respiratory infection. He made a full recovery, but ever since then, he's like a brand new guinea pig. He is ridiculously full of energy and can't sit still for 2 seconds. So the chances of him being able to sit here and not drive all of us insane during a video is pretty unlikely. So Gizmo does send his best, but he will not be in attendance today. So much to tell you guys about because it's just been this amazing amount of stuff going on for the last few months. Again, I fully expected to be back here and doing some live shows before now, and it seems like every time I plan to go ahead and do another one, yeah, it just got a little crazy, a little busy. So we're going to start today by kind of recapping everything that's going on with Untreed Reads, which is a lot. And then we'll kind of move into some other things. But really wanted you all to know that how busy everything has been. So first of all, I'm happy to say that this past week, I got my second COVID vaccination. Katie in San Francisco has gotten her full COVID vaccinations. So we're all good to go. I am looking forward to the opportunity to hopefully get together with Katie and see her in person and hang out and work together. It's been a very long time since we've been able to do that. And I miss her. And it would just be really great to have both of the main folks there from Untreed Reads getting back together and working together. We did unfortunately also lose an author to cancer in recent weeks. We lost Paul Marks. He was one of the contributors to Peace, Love, and Crime, crime fiction inspired by the songs of the 60s. I did not know Paul well, but his writing was fantastic, and he was very much well loved by so many people. We're very sorry to have lost such a great voice. We're sorry, of course, to have lost another member of the Untreed Reads family so soon after having lost Terry Kay to cancer also. In the past, we also lost Dorian Gray to cancer. Just hasn't been good. So all the best to all of Paul's family and friends and fans, and definitely will be a voice that will be missed. From a production standpoint, we've kind of been in crazy overload with Joan Wolfe's Regency romances. We had signed a contract to distribute her entire backlist, and it's been taking some time, but we've been getting them out in January. And see, I have cheat sheet notes over here. January, we released A Kind of Honor, A Difficult Truce, and The Scottish Lord in English from Joan, but then we also released The Portrait in Portuguese, and we released The Heiress in Spanish, as we continue to try to bring out more and more of our titles in other languages. February brought Beloved Stranger, Portrait of a Love, and The American Duchess. March was A Double Deception, Change of Heart, and Margarita and the Earl. Coming up in April for Joan, we've got Summer Storm, The Rebellious Ward, and A Fashionable Affair. May is going to be Wild Irish Rose, Lord Richard's Daughter, and Fool's Masquerade. We continue to release Joan's titles, pretty much 3 a month. We still have 13 more to go that all need to come out before the end of this year. And Joan is going to have a brand new novel coming out at some point, uh, probably this fall. But Joan does continue to write all new material, and we're very excited. The portrait was extremely popular when we released it last fall, and so we're very excited to have a brand new release. Meanwhile, in production, we have all kinds of things. So first of all, from a standpoint of in production for ebook and print, first up is Josh Pachter's anthology, Only the Good Die Young, crime fiction inspired by the songs of Billy Joel. We're still working on a cover for that one. I'm something of a perfectionist, so if I'm not real happy and with a cover and just don't think it's going to bring the magic, then I just say no. I'd rather push a book back and have it have the right cover than just release it with a cover for the sake of getting it out by a certain date. We're still shooting for an April release on that one. Hopefully we'll be able to stick around to that timeline. Cover will be coming very soon. Have had some connection with the designer today, and looking forward to having that one come out. We've also just recently picked up another anthology. I call it a rescue anthology. Sometimes we like to step in, especially when an anthology has other Untreed Reads authors in it already. And if something goes a little messy with the plans for where that anthology intended to be, we're happy to step in and pick it up. Such is the case with Murder by the Glass, Cocktail Mysteries, a really fun anthology that's coming this fall. We're already starting proofreading work on it and cover design. It's all mysteries based around cocktail drinks. So should be a lot of fun. I do need to give the bad news that there will not be a Killer War Cranberry this year. We are taking the year off from the Killer War Cranberry. The reason being that we feel like we already have a lot of good anthologies coming out this year. We had a lot of good anthologies last year. Rather than add just another one to the mix, we'd really like to be able to spend the holiday season really focused on the Billy Joel and the Murder by the Glass, but with one other anthology coming, which we'll get to in just a little bit. So that's what's doing right now in terms of what's in production for ebook and print. In terms of in production for audiobook, Pippa Rathborn is finishing up her narration and production of Truly Yours by Barbara Metzger. And our very first anthology for going into audiobook, Sandra Murphy's From Hay to Eternity, 10 Devilish Tales of Crime and Deception, is currently in production with producer-narrator Casey Calloway. We had the auditions for that, and oh my gosh, just can't even tell you what fun that is. Josh, I see your note about the Marx Brothers, but we'll get to that in a second. Sandra Murphy's short story collection, From Hay to Eternity, really looking forward to it. The narrator has a wonderful sense of humor. She's done a magnificent job of bringing out Sandy's humor in her stories to the narration. So we're really, really excited about what that's going to look like and listen and sound like. We also set a milestone. We have officially sold 5,000 audiobooks of the titles that we've produced. That's pretty amazing. I'm thrilled. Couldn't be happier, especially since the majority of those were romance. Having 5,000 audiobooks sold for a small press, really terrific. I'm very happy with that. Also in production at the moment is the audiobook for one of our nonfiction books, Poor Innocent Lad by Mike Ferris. We're currently in the audition stage for that one, and so we're accepting auditions through ACX. I think I may have decided on a narrator, not quite sure yet, but we're getting pretty close to that one. In terms of what's in production for foreign language, The Master of Grex by Joan Wolfe is currently in production for Spanish. Brenda Acero is coming back yet again with another Spanish translation. Loving Brenda's work. It's just so good. She's going to take care of all of she's going to be the translator for all of Joan Wolfe, and then we'll see about moving her on to some of the other books. She's getting them turned out pretty quickly for us, which I really appreciate. Also, Maria Atiade Amado is returning and working on the Portuguese translation of The Heiress by Joan Wolfe. We might have a German translation for the portrait lined up. I am still working on translations all the time and adding more and more books to the platform to get more converted wherever we possibly can. So that's what's actually in production at the moment, things that we're working on right now. It's not everything that's going to be published, but it's everything that we're actually physically working on right now. Now, in terms of things that are still to come for the rest of the year, Terry Kay, we had acquired the entire backlist of Terry Kay, with the exception of his legendary book, To Dance with the White Dog. Turns out there was one more book that was available from Terry called Dark 30. We were able to literally finish the contract and present it to him. I believe it was the day before he died. So it's going to be a posthumous re-release. We're definitely excited about being able to bring one more Terry Kay book out. We're not quite sure the timing on that one, but it would be a really good summer read. So I'm hoping to get it in for a beach read in there somewhere. We've also just signed agreements with the JVLA agency for 2 more books from Gloria Goldreich from her backlist. We had originally done Leah's Journey and Leah's Children. Leah's Journey was the National Jewish Book Award winner. Gloria is a well-celebrated author. We knew she had 2 more pieces of work in her backlist that had not yet been re-released into into ebook or paperback. And so we pursued the rights for those, and I'm happy to say that we got those. So those are coming. Again, not currently working on those. Haven't slotted dates yet, but those are going to be forthcoming at some point. This past week, we were able to come to an agreement with an agent for the paperback rights to A Summer Place. You guys might know that as a very, very famous movie. We've had the ebook rights for over 10 years. It's a perpetual bestseller every summer, ends up on everybody's reading lists. And we do great by it. And we thought, the time had probably come that we really should be doing a paperback edition of that as well. It's been out of print for ever and a day. So if we have the opportunity to bring that back out, we're really happy with that. The last item that still doesn't have a slotted street date yet is the one that Josh alluded to in the chat, which is an anthology of crime fiction inspired by the movies of the Marx Brothers. Obviously, we're kind of focused on the Billy Joel first, and we're going to get that one all up and on its feet. And then once that one's going, we'll start turning our attentions to some of the other stuff that we have coming forward. So lots of stuff coming out. Again, I'm really sorry, no Killer War Cranberry. Do set your calendars. It will be back in 2022. It is going to be the Killer War Cranberry 7 Deadly Ingredients. There will be very specific ingredients that can be used in the various stories. And so that should be a lot of fun. And of course, I'm hoping my sister will come back and do more of her recipes to be added onto it. In the meantime, there's 6 other absolutely fantastic books in that Killer War Cranberry series that are good to read any time of year. We've got folks that have been in that anthology for ever and a day: Leslie Deal, Barb Goffman, Herschel Cozine. I mean, there's just folks that have been around forever in those, and we love having them around and we love having them back. And I always feel a little guilty if we say we're taking a year off, because it's another opportunity I don't have to work with some of these incredibly talented folks. But it just means I get out there and do even more promotion on the existing books. So the really, really, really big news, for the first time in 11 years, yes, Untreed Reads is celebrating 11 years in business as of February, we're introducing a brand new imprint. For those of you that knew us from the very early days, let's see, I'm looking at the chat, Leslie and Sandy were both around probably long enough to remember we used to have specific imprints for specific short story genres. So we had one for horror, we had one for mystery. They all had their own individual covers. Well, things are about to get a little tawdry around here, if you know what I mean. Things are going to get a little naughty. So happy to introduce a brand new imprint called Untreed After Dark. This is our new imprint focused on erotica and dark horror, dark fantasy, extremely edgy material. Not really appropriate to release this kind of stuff under the regular Untreed Reads banner. It just doesn't fit or fly with the rest of the things that we've done with our catalog. So we thought, what better than to go ahead and give it its own imprint? And we're really excited about the kinds of things we're going to be able to publish. We've had such a great reaction to everything we've done with mysteries. We've had such great reaction to all of our Regency romances. And we said, it's time for us to kind of branch out a little and start doing a little bit more of that material that when you're building a brand and you're building a publishing house, there's some things that you're like, okay, we have to put off doing some of these things we want to do until people say, yep, they're a reputable brand, they're a reputable publisher. We can take a chance on them with some of these other books. So the first title up on Untreed After Dark is a call for submissions that we're doing right now. It's an anthology crossing erotica with mystery. It's called Sex and Violins, and that is violins. Still working on the subtitle. The original one I put out there is not going to be the one that makes it to the very end. Murder Orchestrated has been thrown around. I still think word rhythm kind of needs to get thrown in there. Really funny story about how this anthology got inspired, but I'm probably going to save that story for the introduction to the book. It is certainly a triple X introduction to the to the anthology. The whole conversation was inspired by a definitely not for kids discussion that occurred between a friend of mine and I, and thus it was inspired. The imprint itself is going to be there's going to be short story collections, short story anthologies, and then full length. We won't be doing any standalone short stories at the moment because that market is really, really dead. We are certainly considering possibly some short story standalones that would be in addition to a full length, so something we might be able to do as a gift with purchase or something like that. But probably no standalone shorts, just collections, anthologies, and full-length works. And really, really important, and I can't stress this enough, we are absolutely looking for stories from people of color, LGBTQIA+. This is really important to us. Representation matters, and we really want to make sure that not only are the characters people of color and of LGBT, but the authors are as well. It doesn't mean that we're going to run restrictions and say only those, only people of color or only LGBT can submit. Absolutely not. But if you're going to be writing about those topics, you better be getting it right. So very excited to see where the new imprint takes us. I've already asked Katie if she's okay with proofreading some of this, and she's looking forward to it. I'm certainly looking forward to submissions. So very, very exciting to have our first new imprint in some time. There will be a separate submissions page going up at untreedreads.com that will list all the requirements and restrictions for Untreed After Dark, or UAD as we're referring to it. The submission page is up right now for Sex and Violins. If you go to untreedreads.com, click on submissions at the top, you'll see a tab for Sex and Violins. And everything you need to know for that anthology is there. Also, there is a message on Duotrope. There's a listing for the anthology on Duotrope. Feel free to share our submission call anywhere and everywhere, or share the Duotrope listing. Many thanks to Kevin Tipple for posting it to the markets page of the Short Mystery Fiction Society. Very excited to see where this all goes. So again, that anthology, I believe we're making all decisions by June, with a fall release in there somewhere. I'd really love to be able to go into the holiday season with 3 anthologies that we can promote. Hence the reason why we're not doing Killer War Cranberry. We already have 3 anthologies that are going to be well worth it. In terms of promotional stuff going on, holy crap, March is busy. So at Overdrive, it's Mystery Month, Mystery Madness. We're running 30% off all mystery titles through Overdrive for libraries and through some of Overdrive's retailers. Now is the perfect time to hit up your public library to pick up mystery books if they haven't already picked it up. If you are watching this and you're an Untreed Reads author, please do watch your email. We are moving to various author newsletters that will be coming out via, not MailChimp, Constant Contact. And one of the upcoming ones is how to pitch your book to Overdrive to get it picked up. And it's actually a very simple process that I've rolled out in the past. Few of you, Josh, I think you've probably seen it. I think Sandy has seen it as well. My instructions for how to get your public library, if they're on the Overdrive system, to pick up your book. I just had a couple more successes here in Las Vegas. So we'll be rolling that out, but we'll also start rolling all promotional stuff out to the authors and via Constant Contact. It's just not possible for us to do it by email anymore. We've just gotten too big, and we're getting problems emailing folks when we do it in big batches. We're getting put on spam lists and things like that. So we're moving to Constant Contact. So Overdrive is running 30% off mysteries all this month. Gardner's is running 30% off mysteries all this month. And that's in addition, that's their libraries as well as their retailers. Drive Through Fiction at the moment is doing 25% off mysteries. For a few days more, actually, I think tomorrow is the last day. It is Read an eBook Week, the annual event. We're currently running 40% off every single ebook in the Untreed Reads store, as well as a mixture of 25 to 75% off ebook titles at Smashwords, because they're running a Read an eBook promotion as well. So after the 14th, we'll be back to just mystery and focused on that for the last 2 weeks. April, unfortunately, nobody's really running anything except a lot of Easter and Christian reading. We don't have anything in our catalog that really fits that. So we are promoting one of our distributors, our distribution clients, Electio Publishing, which is a Christian imprint that we distribute. So we'll be pretty busy with Electio in the month of April, and then focusing on some key titles, especially as we get stuff released. Obviously, if we're on time, as we hope to be with the Billy Joel anthology, all of our efforts are going to be behind that for the entire month, or at least from whatever the release date is, to make sure that gets up and everywhere. If you haven't yet known about it, we do have a Twitch channel that's coming up. We're in development still on some of it. At the moment, it's under my name, which will be kind of hard to find. That name will be changing shortly. The reason being is, and please do like and subscribe to our channel here, and definitely do put your comments on our videos. It really helps us get found. This is not our YouTube channel is not, we don't get compensated. We don't have enough followers. We don't have enough views, which makes it kind of difficult for some of the other things we want to accomplish. So we are moving to some things to Twitch, where we'll be able to have a donate button, because we're still working very hard on trying to get the money together to redo our entire website and store. It is a complicated and expensive process, and will take us quite a while to implement. So we're working on that, getting the Twitch channel up and going. We're going to do some author interviews over there. Barb Goffman asked, is there any chance of big name reviews of the Billy Joel anthology? We always try. Most of those require months in advance of publication, and try as we might, sometimes we just can't get there. But we do always submit anyway, to all of them, but it's their choice whether or not uh, they review, and a lot of times they don't like doing small press, unfortunately. They don't consider print on demand sometimes to be a legitimate publishing option, and most of them don't take uh, ebook review copies. It's very unfortunate. Library journals had some very big ups and downs due to the pandemic. They had to cancel all of their table meets, where we were really hoping to get a bunch of stuff submitted. So we're keeping an eye on Library Journal at the moment. We have our some people that we're in contact with over there that are keeping us posted on what we can do for submitting. And international thriller writers, of whom we are a premium member, and we do have their endorsement. We have approached them already for reviews of all of our 2021 releases, and they are open to that. And certainly anybody that knows of a reviewer that wants to review it, we will always make that happen. We will always provide either ebook or print copies. We never say no to a review. So happy to follow through on whatever anybody is able to help us out with those. Reviews are always tough. But I want to back up to the Twitch thing for a second, because a very, very huge event is coming to Twitch for us, and we're hoping to do it in late May. Still haven't figured out the exact weekend, but we will be doing a 24-hour readathon. So this is going to be 24 hours straight of me hosting, with authors in different time slots and reading from their works, doing interviews, all that sort of thing, 24 hours straight, with the goal of trying to raise the much needed money that we need for the website and store overhaul, and also with a charitable donation happening in there as well. We're juggling between a few different charities at the moment, with cancer having affected our publishing house so severely. We're certainly giving a long leaning towards that, but literacy is something that's really important to me, and I'm kind of weighing out the ones on that too. But all of our Untreed Reads authors are going to be getting, once we have a little bit more on the details, they'll all be getting an invite to select their time slots for which they slots, SLOTS, slots. The other one goes under Untreed After Dark, for when they would like to read with us. And the great thing is we have authors all over the world. Marilyn Todd's in France, June White's in Australia. So I think 24 hours straight of this should be pretty easy to fill. We're going to reach out to our distribution partners too and see if they've got authors that would like to participate. But we need all the help we can, trying to get the money together for the store. It's not a secret that publishing is not this huge money-making windfall machine. Katie and I do not collect livable wages from the company, not by a long shot. That's why we both do other jobs. So anything we can do that we can get some help with things that help better our authors, like a much improved website and store experience for our customers, we're going to ask for the help, because that's what we need to do. We need to ask. So mark your calendars sometime around the end of May. The Untreed Reads Readathon is coming. If you haven't seen already in the Untreed Reads store, we do have design your own cover mugs and design your own cover masks. You can pick any cover from our catalog and have it put on a mug. All proceeds from that go towards the website and web store fund. So that's very much appreciated for anybody that takes advantage of that. I think that might actually catch everything up on what's going on with Untreed Reads. Good grief. Normally I keep the show to half an hour and get on with my second topic before then, and I didn't make it this time. So we're going to go a little long because I've got a topic that I feel still really important, and I think needs to be covered. Um, so, I'm not going to talk about Mr. Potato Head. I'm not going to talk about movies. I'm not going to talk about television. I'm not going to talk about um, anything that isn't literature related, because that's who we are. We're a publisher. Um, and some people say, well, why are you qualified to talk about cancel culture? You're a white guy. Yeah, I'm a white guy. I'm also a white Jewish guy that in school, when I was in elementary school, I had a kid ask me where my horns were. I'm also an openly gay man who lost a job uh, with a major software company. No, not Apple. Apple was very good to me. But I was terminated from a position at a software company because I was openly gay. I was kept from getting a job because I was openly gay. So, do I have some ability to talk about cancel culture? Yeah, yeah. There's some things there. So the big news in the last week or so was the Seuss family pulling poorly selling, I might add, six poorly selling titles uh, for that they felt were offensive in modern times. That uh, the depictions of people inside were uh, not up to today's standards, were racist, or could be construed as racist. And you know what? Good on them. They're the publisher. They're the owners of it. They get to choose what they do with their content. And if they feel the content is inappropriate for today's modern society, um, you know what? As a publisher, they get to do that. Here's my take on all this, though. Every year we celebrate Banned Books Week, and Banned Books Week is a reflection of uh, the titles that normally make it to the bestseller list of schools, libraries, who refuse to teach the books, refuse to carry the books, refuse to store the books on their shelves. Um, it's usually for a variety of reasons. And there's no surprise on some of those titles. Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, the Bible has been on those lists. Uh, um, so many titles. But the idea behind Banned Books Week is to get together every year and talk about the content of those books and why people find them offensive, but also why they should still be read. Um, and the idea being that, those who don't recognize and know their history are doomed to repeat it. And there can't be growth, and there can't be learning, and there can't be education if you don't have the source material from which to learn. Now, you can have somebody shout in your face all you want, but if you can bring somebody to that education and explain to them why something is problematic and why something doesn't work, then in the end, that's far more effective than just saying, nope, nobody gets to read it. No, we need to just remove every single thing that could or might be offensive. And, there's without a doubt, there are things that absolutely are horrendous. And, there was a book that came out back in the days when I was a Walden bookstore manager. And some of you in the chat might need to help me out here if I have the wrong title. But I believe the title was called The Bell Curve. And it was this incredibly odious, offensive book uh, that explained why African Americans were not as smart as white people. Um, and it was this incredibly offensive book. And yet, the publisher didn't pull it out of print. Um, there was no cancel culture. There was no this book must go. What it did was it enraged enough people to the point that it caused them to have conversations. And it became a topic that people could discuss on television and could discuss in person. And there were book groups that explained why the messages were hurtful and hateful and untrue. That to me is far more effective than just saying, get rid of the book. If you get rid of every single thing that might offend somebody, or might be construed as offensive, because it's going to be offensive to some people and it's going to be not offensive to other people. And no one person gets to decide for an entire group of people if something is offensive. I mean, I can't tell you how much gay fiction I've read written by women. And if you ever want a clue whether or not a gay book has been written by a woman, it's always a masculine name with a weird vowel on the end where it makes you wonder whether it's a male or a female. Jaye, that's a, yeah, name like that, absolutely. You've got yourself a female. But what used to drive me insane were gay books where everything was about this physical attraction, no emotional attachment whatsoever, and it was just sex, 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 and that was it. And that's all gay men knew, and that's all you ever read in literature. But I wasn't ever one of those people saying we need to cancel all of these books. And other LGBT people didn't say we need to stop publishing these books. What they said was these books are inaccurate. These books don't depict things the way they're supposed to be, the way things actually are. Let's have a discussion about what's wrong with these books so that we can get literature out there that is accurate, that does accurate portrayals, accurate depictions of what these people's lives really are. And let's keep those books around. They may be offensive, they may not be accurate, but they're there as a marker for us to be able to use to educate other people as to what's right and what's wrong. Because if you don't have an example to hold up, it's just your word against them. And people shout at each other all the time on Facebook with no proof. And this would be really nothing different from that. Having constructive discussions about books is one of the reasons why I'm passionate about books. One of the reasons why I loved being a Walden bookstore manager. I cannot tell you how many times I had conversations with my staff, with customers, and I was a Walden bookstore manager in very rural Georgia, and I was an openly gay man in rural Georgia. The amazing conversations that we were able to have with each other because we were able to hold up books and quote passages and explain things resulted in some of the best discussions and best learning that I've ever had, that my customers ever had, my readers ever had. So to just say the only acceptable solution is to pull the book from sale, that's not a solution. You don't get to decide that everybody needs to be silenced so that your view is the only one that's accepted. You cannot learn where you need to be without knowing where you've been from. They still teach the rise and fall of the Third Reich. Where's the huge outcry of Hitler? Why are we teaching Hitler? Ban the book. No, because everybody understands how important of a book that is. Elie Wiesel's Night is still one of the most brilliant, haunting, and saddest books about the Holocaust. The Diary of Anne Frank, another popular book that shows up on Banned Books Week every year. It's okay to be angry about the books. It's okay to be angry about the way people react to the material because it leads to discussion. It leads to people explaining. It leads to people discussing what's important and why something is important to them and why literature is important. Literature, more than anything else, is a true recording straight from the author's mind to paper. There's no real other interpretation that happens other than an editor stepping in to occasionally tweak some lines and help develop. But there aren't cameramen, there aren't actors, there aren't script editors and special effects people. There aren't a million people getting in between the message of the author and the person who is absorbing the message. And that's why, to me, it's more critical with literature than anywhere else that we protect all literature. We keep the literature that's here. We make sure nothing goes out of print. We make sure that books that are controversial are allowed to be released so that people can discuss it and come to terms with it. and understand why people feel or think the way they do. Nobody's asking for agreement. Nobody's asking for 100% compliance. What I think we should be asking for is discussion and understanding and the freedom of press. So it's kind of my feeling on it as an editor, as a publisher, as a gay man. Some of this came up because of the Seuss stuff. Some of this came up with the idea of launching Untreed After Dark, that we're certainly going to have people that are going to object to the material that we will eventually release. Good. I hope they do. I hope they do object to it. I have had objections in the past to the stuff I published, the gay mysteries that I published from Dorian Gray, the gay material from Victor Banis. We had trans characters in our very first year of publication, and people were like, eek. And I was like, yep. So authors, keep doing what you do. Keep saying the truth. Keep saying your truth. Not everybody has to agree with your truth. But everybody should have the ability to experience your truth. And we should not be in the process of silencing voices. We should be in the process of listening to why people have the voices they do. And whether, again, I'm not going to speak for any other medium other than literature. But after all these years of dealing with banned books and watching cultural attacks in the Castro on bookstores and with women-owned and feminist bookstores, and boy, there was a period of time there. Some of you who are around my age, I just turned 49 in February. Some of you that are around my age are going to remember a lot of attacks on feminist bookstores and women's voices, which, in many ways still continues on today. But these stores are important. African-American owned bookstores are important. Women-owned bookstores are important. Gay and lesbian bookstores are important. They all have voices. They all have something to say. They all need to be heard, and nobody should be silenced. My 2 cents worth. But I've been asked via email and Facebook and several other places if I would go on camera and state my opinion of what I felt about what's going on right now with cancel culture and literature. And there you go. There's my feeling. You won't catch us carrying certain things because that's not what we're going to do as a company. There are other publishers out there that are better suited to carry some of that material because that's what they do and that's what they specialize in. But I'm never going to tell one of my authors, you don't get to put that in a book. You don't get to have that voice. You don't get to have that opinion. That's never going to come out of my mouth. And if I get something wrong, if I fail to understand one of my author's point of views because I don't share that background, if I have a female author that shares a woman's perspective and I don't get it, I want her to educate me. If I publish a book by a person of color and I don't get something, I want them to educate me. I don't want them shut down. I want their opinion. I want their information. I want expression, because that's what literature is. That's what publishing is. That's communication. Soapbox over. Again, I'd really appreciate if you folks would like, share, subscribe to our videos. It helps us out a lot. I hope not to be so absent in the future. I hope we get back on course with doing these a little bit more regularly. I also want to have a reason for coming on. I don't want to just kind of fill up time blustering about what Untreed Reads is doing. I want to have a reason to come reach out to everybody and see everyone, say hi, talk. But all of you take care. It's been a pleasure, as always. Much love to all of you and yours. Stay warm, stay happy, stay healthy. Take care. Bye.